Traditional Asian chefs are not only concerned about the flavor and the visual appeal of their food, but also the medicinal value of it. To find out more, stick around. I'm Thomas Robson, and this is Entree to Asia. If you've been watching our show regularly, then you know that East meets West cuisine is an important subject for us. While in Malaysia, we met Chef Horst Federer, executive chef at the Kuala Lumpur Shangri-La Hotel. Horst was raised in a German family, but grew up in Hawaii, of all places, and for many years now has been working in Southeast Asia. To me, he is the physical embodiment of the East meets West philosophy. Horst is one of the most talented chefs I've ever met, and he has strong opinions on how the East and the West can and should meet.
Right. What we are doing is we marry the ethnic groups, and it has more of a medical, traditional Chinese, Malay, and Indian background, because food in Malaysia compared to Western cultures has a purpose in religion, Chinese yin and yang, to balance, right, earth and water and fire, and in the Western world we basically eat only for taste and to stay alive. So what we did here is we're going to give you first a spicy peanut soup. So shall we start?
Please.
Okay, the first thing we did is we cheated a little because of the time we broke the chicken up. So what we basically do is we take the legs out and the thighs, right, and debone the meat. Those we keep because in here is all the gel. You know, Chinese eat chicken feet.
Yeah.
Right, barbecue chicken feet. So there's a lot of gel in. So this is what we're using, right? The wing bones we use, right? And the chest bones, because what we do is we debone the breast, you see? And everything we take the skin off, right?
Okay,
after
skin
we
away.
have deboned the breast, we marinate it in a satay marinade.
Beautiful.
Overnight, and we let it sit, right? We use chicken stock, right? And we started from the chicken stock, which we did just with the bones.
Right.
Because you want to keep it very plain.
Okay, so no aromatic ingredients,
Nothing
just
yet.
bones and...
Yes, only bones and water. So we put the bones in, all right? And we boil it for about half an hour. The reason we boil only chicken bones and fish bones, as you know, only for half an hour is because of the lanolin, the soapy taste. If you boil bones too long, like in the old days, you know, when they boiled soups, 2-3 hours, you get the soapy taste.
Yeah.
Nobody does that anymore.
Okay.
A good fish stock, whatever, is done 20 minutes to half an hour. The same with the chicken bones.
Okay, so now we're just doing an enrichment of the basic stock with additional meat
with the black chicken. When our stock has boiled now, we're gonna take the stock hot and we're gonna pour the stock in here, about so much. After this is done, we're gonna add the raw peanuts because there's the flavor in.
Of course.
All right? So we put the peanuts in, just like that. All right? Then we add a little garlic. It all goes in there.
That's about a teaspoon or so.
Yeah, we add a little ginger.
Not too much.
No. Like we said, we want to be very, very careful with the flavors, right? Because, you know, in Asia, the flavors are very, very overpowering. Just a little turmeric.
And in this case, turmeric counts as one of the medicinal ingredients as well.
Exactly. And then we use the ginger flower.
May I smell that? I've never really encountered ginger flower. A whole ginger flower.
All right.
Bruise it a little bit.
It's beautiful, huh?
It's only faintly reminiscent of ginger, but it's wonderfully wonderfully aromatic. That's quite unique.
Yeah. So then we use some of the shiitake mushroom stems. We put it in there
Stems,
for the flavor.
okay.
Only because this one we need for the garnish in the
Okay.
soup. Right? After this, what else do we have? The most important part, the skin and the thigh meat we did grind.
Very well.
So this is almost like a clarification now.
A classical consommé clarification,
Exactly.
where
So-
you add more protein elements like egg whites, for instance, but also chopped up meat and so on.
Yeah.
And as the stock slowly cooks and bubbles through this, it becomes a filter layer, binding up proteins, clarifying the stock. That's basically how a consommé is made.
This is burlap.
Okay.
Now you gotta be very careful what I learned here with the Chinese.
Okay. What's
The
that?
Chinese bury their dead in burlap. So there's certain burlap bags which you are not allowed to use. This one is a very soft and very porous burlap.
Right.
This is okay. Also the reason we have chosen it, it's a very natural burlap.
Oh yeah, that
Smells
doesn't
good.
have that weird smell.
So
that
what we're
most
gonna
burlap-
do is, in order to enhance the flavor and seal it, we're gonna put this quickly here on the stove. So what it does is it makes it smooth. It burns it in a little. Okay.
Hot, hot.
No, no.
Oh, but what an aroma.
Smell. Isn't that great?
Now, isn't a burlap like that used sometimes in a beggar's chicken or something like that?
Similar.
Right on.
Except it's steamed, right?
Aha.
Here we burn it off. So what we're gonna do is put this one over there. We put in cold water now. You let it sit for about 20 minutes. This is a lotus leaf because we want to keep it all natural, you know. We want to go with the theme.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, right? Even the containers we do different. This we use to eat our soup out. Okay, now, as you see, all you want to do is you want to simmer it. Right?
I can see the movement in the bottle. It might be hard from the camera angle to see, but there's definitely things going up and things coming down. So there's a filtration process going on.
Exactly. And you see, you gotta start always with cold water because you wanna extract. If you wanna sear something, you start hot.
Right.
Whenever you wanna extract something, you start cold. And you simmer so that you get the maximum out of everything. Right?
Beautiful technique.
So, this is done. This one we just want to sear quickly, that's why we let the pan smoke.
Okay,
So-
hot oil, a hot pan.
Just very little oil. Again, right, we say health. This is our black chicken breast,
Okay.
right, which we had marinated in satay. And this one we use as a garnish. By the way, this meal was cooked in honor for Dr. Mahathir when he was hosting the Bosnian Peace Conference here. I had done that because in Malaysia there was a lot of Western food cooked, and you have traveled the country now. There's so much beautiful heritage here, right? But they were serving all Western food. So when I talked to the people, his personal advisors and so, I said, why don't we do anything Malaysian?
Right.
And that was one of the things we did for him. All right? So, now we're gonna do the garnish.
Very well.
We take this back. This is where we're gonna serve our soup in. What we made here was a little roulade. In order to get a little color effect, we used some white chicken meat.
Okay.
The leftover from here, as we saw from the ground meat.
Right.
We mixed some mushrooms in, some ginger. All the ingredients you see here, you find here in again.
So we're not adding different flavors
No,
now,
no, no,
we're
no.
reinforcing what's happening.
Exactly. And this one is not made with milk or cream. We use the chicken stock.
Okay.
Right.
You're talking about the force meat here, the white
Yes.
ground meat there that provides the color.
Exactly.
Then you use the skin.
And we wrap
shape
it
it.
in there.
So it's
Again,
almost
you
like a
see,
ballotine.
it's yin and yang, right? Everything
Yeah.
is balanced around yin and yang here, right?
Beautiful.
So we take a few slices of that,
My gosh.
right? Can we see, huh?
Oh yeah.
Go in there. There. And there. Then we use the satay chicken,
Yes.
right? Take one piece in there. Okay. This is the Malaysian groundnut, which is a peanut, but
Right.
it's called a groundnut here. 2 or 3 because the name of the soup is
Spicy peanut soup.
spicy peanut soup, right? Then we use the flour. We take 1 or 2 of the ginger flowers, right? Pack this away. Make a few julienne of that.
Now, it won't take much because the aroma is quite
It's
pungent.
very strong, very, very strong, right? You do this, and then we use the shiitake mushroom. Also very fine. You see, I don't even blanch it, but you see what we do is we make it paper thin, right? Because you want to preserve all the original flavors. And then again, when you come back to yin and yang, you need one to accompany the other. So you have very different flavors. All those flavors, one alone will not give you any harmony on your tongue.
Right.
One supports the other. Now, you do this. Then if you want to garnish a little, you just garnish with the things you had. Put some peanuts on. Right? This is how we served it to the man, to our Prime Minister. We take the flour, let's cut off. We put some of the leaves on. You see the soup is ready now.
Our perfect consommé.
Yeah. Huh? So,
Actually, right now it's more like an infused medicinal.
yeah, it's
medicinal
like a
soup.
tea, almost
Yeah.
like a beef tea.
Okay.
Right? So this is basically the way we served it. This is how it goes on the plate. Right? We do that. No? Now, would you like to know how we serve it, how the customer gets it?
Absolutely.
We are not taking this off. Remember, we burned it. This is very important for the flavor, the burlap. So what you do is, you take the soup
Strain it through the burlap.
and strain it through the burlap.
Wow. That's beautiful.
And
What I
this is
like
how
is
we do it.
the participation at the last minute. You know, it
Yeah.
comes to the customer
Yeah,
and then you.
Exactly. Now you smell that.
There's an old expression in Chinese. Do you remember it? It talks about the perfect aroma, the essence of a food.
Yes.
There's a term, there's 2 terms, one for the perfect taste and one for the perfect aroma, the perfect essence. And this definitely has that aroma. I mean, the subtlety of the smoke and the other ingredients really do not mask the perfection of the chicken.
But it's very gentle still. It's very, very gentle. It's not overpowering. And it's a very good soup. Why don't you try it, all right? And tell me what you think about the new world and the old world mixed with traditional recipes. It's medicine.
Oh, yeah.
It's gourmet food.
Yeah, keep going. You're taking the words out of my mouth here. It's beautiful.
And at the same time, you know, the Malaysians can be proud of their heritage. This is my main thing.
Horst really reminded me of how important the medicinal value of the food that we eat is. So today I thought it would be nice to bring together a recipe that has medicinal aspects, but also teaches us about another approach to cooking, and that is doubled cooking techniques, very common throughout Asia. What we're going to do is Shanghai duck breast. It's a delicious dish. What we've got here, over here now, are some marinade ingredients. And what I have is some fresh young ginger. Any kind of ginger will do. I have some star anise here. Now, star anise is well known for the beneficial effect it has on the respiratory tract and the lungs. Just so I don't forget, the ginger also is considered very beneficial to the stomach and the whole digestive process. Now, I have some green onion for flavor, and also for a little interesting twist, I have some Szechuan peppercorns. These are not actually peppercorns, but dried flowers from a bush, and they have an amazing taste that is hot and kind of numbing on the tongue at the same time. And it goes very well with rich meats like duck, for instance, which is what we're going to use. Let's see how the marinade goes together first, however. I'm going to take a few pieces of star anise. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is fine. And I'm going to crack them up, but not grind them to a powder. Whoa, watch out now. This is why I say when you're working with a mortar and pestle to cover it with your hand while you're pounding, not to make a mess. Now, in any case, I said let's not pound them to a powder. We want to break them up so they'll give their flavor away. We'll put in a teaspoon or so of the Szechuan peppercorns, not much more. We'll also give them a brief pounding. Perfect. Now, some green onion. And these are just nice inch-long or inch-and-a-half long pieces, preferably of the thick part of the green onion. And we'll also take the handy knife here and add a couple of reasonably thick slices of fresh ginger. Now, I like this young ginger. It's great, but it's not always available. You can look for it and recognize it by the little red shoots on it and the thin skin and the unmistakable aroma of fresh ginger. But really, like I've said before, any other kind of ginger will do. Bruise the green onions, but don't mush them to a paste. And then do likewise with the ginger slices. Mix the whole thing around. Beautiful. Aside from some coarse salt, which I'm going to add now, which helps draw out all the flavors and the aromas and the essential oils from these aromatic ingredients, well, with that addition, our marinade is now complete. What you'll want to do with this is to take a nice piece of duck. Now, I've got some duck breast here, and it's already been marinated. Simply take the piece of duck breast. It could be a duck thigh, it could be any other kind of game, or it even could be a chicken breast, and simply pat it with the marinade mixture, and then wrap it in plastic wrap and allow it to marinate for at least 2 hours. Now, ideally, overnight is the best. Then we unwrap it, and we're going to steam it. Here's a wonderful little thing I picked up at the Asian market. I bought this for only pennies, and what it is a little bamboo rack, and it's used for simmering and for steaming. What I can do with it is place it like this over the dish, take the duck breast, and I'm going to take it skin side up, being careful not to lose the marinade, and lay it on top like that. Let's just rearrange it so that it sits above the dish. There we are. And just for symbolism, to remember what we're doing with this marinade, and because I like to do it, it's fun, we'll put some more of the marinade ingredients on top. There we go. I'll clean off my hands, and the next step is to put it in a steamer. Any kind of steamer will do, but here's a clever idea. I've got a wok going over my burner here. Any source of heat will do for this dish. And there's a wonderful little trivet that you can buy that sits inside of woks and allows you to steam in it. You could also steam in any other kind of pot with it. We'll take the duck that's been marinated, put it on the trivet just like that, and put the lid on top. Make sure that it remains at a boil, and of course watch the water level in your steamer so that the duck can cook for a good hour and a half. It takes this long to tenderize the duck and also to steam away all the fat so you get a nice, lean, and healthy to eat piece of duck. It also infuses all the medicinal properties of the ingredients in the marinade into the flesh of the duck. Day 18. Restaurant Lafitte and chef Horst Fritterer. This guy is incredible. Born in Germany, raised in Hawaii, rides a Harley, and challenges the waves on his surfboard and in his spare time. He even designs most of the serving platters and dinner plates in this restaurant. All this, and he's one of the most creative chefs in the world. And how's this for office space? Not a bad life, I'd say. As colorful a character as he is, Horst really fits in the heart of this exotic place. Kuala Lumpur is, after all, a very cosmopolitan city. And like the rest of Southeast Asia, everything here is a surprise. Yup, not a bad life. Now, we've made a jump in time. We've let our duck steam for a while, but I'll tell you, right now we didn't steam it for the full hour and a half. I just want to show you what's important next, the next step. What we do is we brush off the marinade ingredients after the duck is steamed. And of course, when it's steamed for the full hour and a half, it'll be shrunken down quite a bit and there'll be no fat left under the skin. Then we take a mixture of vinegar and dark soy sauce. Now I'm going to stir this all together and rub it all over the piece of duck. So take 2 fingers here and apply it like this, just like so. You can do this a couple of times as the duck cools, but what you want to allow to happen here is for the, let's keep that above, there we are, is to keep the, allow the duck to dry. What happens is it takes on a lovely mahogany color, just like this piece over here, which has been fully cooked. It's been brushed with the vinegar and black soy sauce and allowed to dry. And now we move on to the next step, which is the second cooking process. This is a Shanghai duck, but it's double cooked. And the second cooking process after the steaming is to shallow fry it in hot oil. So here we go. The duck, which is lovely and tender and not at all fatty and greasy, and it goes into the hot oil. Where we'll allow it to cook for a few moments until it gets a beautiful, beautiful red color. This red color is going to be the sign that the dish is done, and what will happen is we'll have a great contrast, crispy on the outside and tender and juicy duck meat on the inside. This is what double cooking can do for us. Better control my heat here, I can hear it spattering. Double cooking gives us contrasts in textures. It allows us to improve upon flavors in ways that wouldn't happen normally in a regular cooking process. Let's just move this about a bit. And please, when you're working with oil, be careful. Keep in mind that if you want to use a spatter screen, don't be embarrassed. It's a very, very good idea. And watch your heat carefully. Working in a nice deep pan like this using a small amount of oil is also considered safe. Okay, let's turn this over now. Look at the beautiful color. I don't know if it's clear in this deep wok. It'll certainly be clear when I bring the piece of duck out. This is going to be a shockingly delicious looking piece of duck. I'll tell you a secret. I used to prepare many of these duck breasts up to the point where I rubbed them with the soy sauce and vinegar. I'd put them in the freezer. Later I'd defrost them, pat them dry with a paper towel, and then deep fry them or shallow fry them to get them ready for service when friends were coming. Easier to do 2 or 3 duck breasts than it is to say just do one at a time. There we have it. I'll turn off the oil, and I'm going to put the duck back on the little plate that I had it in so it can drain for a moment. Here we are. Oh, don't want it to get wet again. There, I'll put these aside. Okay, we'll wait just a brief moment so we can safely slice it. Now, serving it hot and warm is nice. You don't have to worry about having it perfectly hot, however, because this dish is so aromatic and so delicious, it doesn't matter if it's served hot or cold. I like to serve it on a bed of bright green lettuce to contrast the crispy, savory flavor of the duck and the amazing tender, juicy sweetness of the fresh lettuce. Let's cut. Look at that. Beautiful. I got to get my hand in here and hold it down. If you want to be really careful, then use a kitchen towel while you're holding the duck. That's the smart way to do it. All right, here we go. Lovely slices. Please don't be too concerned about the way that you cut it. Just cut it into small pieces because this is, after all, an appetizer. The best way to learn to cut when you're cutting something new is just to go slowly and carefully, and of course don't be afraid to make mistakes. And then down towards the little end section here, it gets a little bit trickier, so I'm going to reverse the piece. There we go. And I'll tell you, it is hot. Okay, let's arrange it on the plate, and then it's ready to serve. Push it all back together, pick it up carefully, and there we go. A marvelous appetizer, and if you make 2 or 3 or 4 at once, a marvelous main course for a delicious and exotic Asian meal. Keep in mind it's Shanghai duck. It's been double cooked, steamed and deep fried for contrast in textures and flavors, and it's been marinated with important medicinal ingredients, at least from the point of view of Southeast Asian and Chinese chefs. a surprise it was to meet a 5-star Western chef who could incorporate the most important aspects of Asian cookery into his repertoire. A true example of East meets West philosophy in action. We'll have more masters for you next time on Entree to Asia. I'm Thomas Robson.
To find out more about Entree to Asia, including recipes and program descriptions, visit our website at www.entreetoasia.com.